just pass. You know. So it's very different when two men meet.
Silence or thoughts?
Huh?
You're giving a hint of silence or thoughts?
No. Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, the whole idea of when the rubber gets the road, it came into effect when I started riding. I got my first bike in 2018. And I said first bike, first super bike. That's when I started riding a Ducati Monster. I always wanted a Ducati. Don't know for what reason. I just fell in love with seeing the naked bike, and now I have my eyes on Street Fighter. I need to convince the home minister for that. So the application has been submitted. It is under review, is what I've been told. So let's see how that review will go through. And I'll also see whether I need to provide some under the table drive and everything else. Those days, yeah. I mean, she said I'm under the old table doesn't work. So we'll figure that out. So now, what we're doing is. I'll give a brief about who we are. My name is Vinay. I have a small company called Infovision, and I also have another company called Bike Riders. And I have a small production house called Starling Scotch Productions. So other than this, I have a hardware firm called Tech Bouquet, and we are trying to do some technology work around these companies. And when I started riding, I realized there's a lot of opportunity to bring in the technology and the riding together. So that's where we started the application development called Spit 500. And thanks to Umesh, who is here, he is the one who coined the name for the application. It's a mobile app. We started this development before the pandemic hit us, and then we realized that by the time we came up with our first version, we realized that nobody's riding. Man, that was a sad story. So we had to take a small step back and say, let's hold on, because no matter how much of effort we put in to make this application, nobody's going to use it, because unless somebody rides it, we won't even get the feedback. So that's why we paused it and put it on the shelf. But now we see that people have started going out. We see our Ducati group also being very active. I also see a lot of other bike groups also being very active. So we have started rebuilding the app. And I'm also working on a shop where we are planning to bring in all the accessories and apparels for the super bikes. The reason for calling it a Spit 500 is we wanted to cater to the needs of the bikers who own a 500cc and above bike. This is a different community altogether. So that's why we wanted to focus on those people. So with that background, we thought we'll also bring in the community together, and we'll start with a session. We will start creating some events. We'll also go out and have some bigger events, calling some stars and some music events and all those things. So that was the grand plan. Hopefully we'll achieve all of that with all your support. Now coming back to today's session, this is again thanks to Simon and Neil. They were the one who put this idea in my brain. So that why don't you talk to the ladies? So now you know why you are here, right? So they say,
the culprits.
yeah, they are the culprits.
Simon especially not.
Happy about it. Very happy about it.
Yeah, but the thing is, I felt it is very, very important how the biking scene has changed in India, right? So let's talk about who our speakers are today. We'll start with Prianca. Hi Prianca, how are you? Let's see if your mic, the mic that is in front of you is working.
Hi.
Can you guys hear us?
Yes,
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hi. Did you get your coffee, tea?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Great. So what we know a little about Priyanka is she started as a tutor.
Yes.
Yes? Awesome. And she has clocked in almost nearly 100K. Almost there. So you can imagine the amount of experience she has, and she's been riding different type of bikes, not just one bike. I mean, I remember growing up, we got one bike. My dad said, "Zindagi bhar isi ko sambhal ke rakhega." That is how the life was then, right? Zindagi bhar isi ko sambhal ke rakhega. Unko kya pata tha, har 3 saal ke baad to bike change hone wala hai. And very interestingly, Priyanka also works for a big IT company. and she is into clinical drug development and regulatory medical writer.
First time
Thanks.
someone got it right.
Yes, yes. Thanks to my IT background. So this is very interesting. We definitely would like to hear about that. Not during this session. Maybe in the different session where we invite you to talk about how the COVID vaccine was invented.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. Alright. So according to Prianca, she says no age or time can set a limit to your passion.
I mean,
Right? I agree too. I always feel that it's all a mind game. If your mind thinks that you can do something, you can always do it. And I completely agree with her. She uses her weekends for riding, goes on trails across Pune, Mumbai, takes a week or two off for riding with her better half. Abhir is here. So thanks for coming in. It's a great support. I see that you both go out to ride together. So thank you for supporting her here. One of the things about Prianka is she has won a Big Rock Trail Attack 2020 in the ladies class, which was conducted in Bangalore.
Bangalore.
In Bangalore,
Yeah.
it was in Bangalore. Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, actually, it was the first time I'd ever participated in an event, and also, I guess it was also one of the first events that was organized after last year's lockdown, which was far more stricter, more stringent. So it was a welcome break for everyone to come. Prior to going for the Big Rock Trail Attack, I even had doubts whether it's wise to travel, not travel, but we took all the precautions. And one of my friends, Sarath, he had his experts, and he didn't ask, he just basically ordered that I should go down to Bangalore and participate. I did, and it was a very big learning experience for me because there were a lot more guys there. I was hoping to see a lot of girls, which were far and few between, to be very, very honest. So I got, to be honest, I got lucky that I
Fantastic. Congratulations on that. And I think according to what we got here, we did a lot of research, by the way. Yeah. We got a lot of stuff from Wikipedia too. Motorcycles, you like riding bikes like Cornwell, and a couple of other bikes too. There's a lot of, I don't want to give out all of that. Wikipedia is there for everybody to access. And she has read across Rajasthan, South India, almost to the tip of South India, almost up to Manakawad.
Yeah,
Right?
I didn't do that.
Yeah, awesome. And you have been to Leh Ladakh also?
Yes.
Right. Great. And her take on biking, impossible is nothing. Wow, that's a very strong statement. Impossible is nothing. Now I know. I'll remember that. Definitely remember that. Yeah.
I also keep telling myself that.
Well, Priyanka, thanks for graciously coming on board onto this show. Let's if it is a movie, what we would do is we would go back into something called as a flashback, right? Let's go back to the flashback. Okay, 13 years ago, right? How many ladies used to ride a bike?
Okay, so when I started riding, I think I knew only 2 other women.
Wow. In Pune or across
in
India?
Pune.
In Pune.
I don't think I had even thought about checking. I think I was too small and young to think about India mein kaun hai. I was in my first year. I was an 18-year-old who used to go to Ferguson College.
Oh.
And I had my bike only to commute to college. That's it. And then I just knew 2 others, and that's it.
Okay.
After that, on Orkut, we started a group.
How many of you know Orkut? Okay, we have our generation people.
Yes.
Awesome.
So on Orkut we started this, the simplest Pune female bikers.
Okay.
And then over like one and a half years we had about 15-20 members. Usme se not so many were active also.
Right.
And then finally we had our first meetup. 5 of us showed up
Wow.
in Mazarin in 2008.
Wow. That's always how it starts, right?
Yes.
Let's look at the journey from 13 years to now.
And now in we were the founding members of the Biker Me Club, and today we are more than 2,000+ members across India.
Oh my goodness.
Bikers has grown, I think, 10, 20 folds, I guess.
Wow.
I mean, 50 folds, I can't tell, but yeah.
So I think we have a first-time biker here in the audience. Saivi Patak. Right? Hi Saivi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. So we have, I think she just turned 18.
Yeah.
And she got her first bike. What bike do you ride?
Right now, Gixxer 150. Just started.
Gixxer 150, right?
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And soon that 150 probably will have one more zero added very soon,
Yes.
right? So I know Saivi's dad, and he is an avid rider. So, well, Saivi, thanks for coming in. And I think you'll also have some questions. Sharvari can talk about how the 13 years of journey has been from 2 people who rode together to 2,000 people. Awesome. So, Sharvari, you have been a long distance student most of the time, right?
Yes.
And what we understand is you are also associated with a lot of top brands.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, like when I would do a lot of collaborations with
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
So I think this is when Instagram really took off and this influencing thing became a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
That's when I used to be associated with
Right.
a lot of brands. Yes.
Well, we didn't know what influencer mean. I mean, growing up. I'll also, if I go back into flashback and look at let's say 2009. Let's even 2009 or 10, whatever it is. Right? So at that time, I don't think anybody knew about Instagram influencing or Facebook influencing. We didn't even know that we had to take a photograph.
Yeah, social media has taken a complete change
Yeah.
in all of our lives. The way it's kind of shaping all of our lives.
Right.
Yeah, social media is actually
But-
because, like I said, even Orkut, right?
Uh-huh.
That is where we started off, or maybe it would have been very difficult for us to meet and become how big we are today.
Correct.
So yes, I think social media is very important.
It is. Yes. I mean, I remember I go through a sine wave kind of a life cycle with social media. You know, we go up all the way saying that without social media, I can't even breathe. We reach to that stage sometimes, you know, always up on the WhatsApp, social, Facebook, Instagram, 24/7. You wake up, you're on that. You go to bed, you're going with mobile phone in your hand. That's how it is. And then something happens. I said, okay, WhatsApp, no more WhatsApp groups. No more Facebook. No more Instagram. You know, that's what I call it as a sine wave, which is a good thing because sine wave indicates that you are alive. So, well, I think Sharvari here has a lot of records, right? So you hold a Guinness Book of Records for the largest group of women to scale Khardung line 2011.
Yes.
Wow. Tell us about that.
In 2011, we were the 5 girls that I told you about, and 5 of us. I think the first thing we want to do when you just become a biker, you've gone to Lonavala or Mahabaleshwar, and then the next thing you want to do is you want to go to Ladakh because it's like a 10th pass or a 12th pass that you have to do. Otherwise, you don't qualify as a biker. So even we, the first thing we wanted, the 5 of us were discussing. We need to figure it out and all. And then Royal Enfield came on board, and they said, let's do a all-sponsored trip. But doing it, and the thing is, the class of 500s had just launched that time. So and they had you must be knowing about the famous Himalayan Odyssey.
Yes.
Right. So they would do the Himalayan Odyssey for the regular riders. But not many women, like there would be up to 50, 60, 70 riders who would participate, but there would be just maybe 1 odd woman.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they heard that there were 5 women who were interested, they said, you know what, let's just see if you can get 5 more. And if you get 10 women, we will give you 10 motorcycles, and everything will be a all paid trip.
Wow.
Go have fun, let's do this. So we said, okay, let's. But that's the challenge. In 2011, finding 5 more women across India seemed almost impossible.
And especially without Facebook.
Yeah, so exactly. So I think we took a couple of days to reach out. I think all of us reached out to every group we had, and everyone trying to do the word of mouth and be like, okay, do you know any women biker who's also fit enough to or experienced enough to be able to do Ladakh. And eventually, so we were 5 from Pune, and the remaining 5, there was one lady who was 54 from Rajkot. She was the oldest.
55?
54.
54?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And after that, we had.
So I think if at all we're streaming it live, We should tell the people.
Yes, we are.
Age is no bar for riding.
Yes, so and I think there is also this wave of a lot of reborn bikers who who used to be young in the young age they would ride, and then of course marriage happened, kids were growing up and all that, and once they've kind of married and settled off, and then I mean this is for women and men, right, who want to come back to motorcycling and pursue that passion again. I think a lot of generally in bikers we have the reborn riders.
The reborn riders.
Yes, so she was a very classic inspirational because when again, like I said, I was 21. For me, life is just begun, and I'm seeing a woman who is 54 and who was riding to Ladakh with me, right? So I think at an early age, a lot of things. So yeah, so she was one from Chennai, one from Hyderabad, one from Mumbai, and one from a small town in Karnataka called Budhol.
Okay. Budhol. Okay. Wow. It's amazing how things used to be and how things have turned out to be, right?
Yeah.
One question for you, Priyanka. You started riding at what age?
I started riding 5 years ago.
5 years ago. Okay, good one. Very good one. My bad, I asked the question very incorrectly. So how long have you been riding? 5 years. All right. And what transformation you have changed in the biking segment, especially around men riders, in the 5 years that you have been riding?
You mean to say what was my observation?
Yes. What's your observation?
So as Sharvari said, maybe because I was not just new to riding myself, I was new to the concept of riding a motorcycle in its entirety. So I actually knew nothing. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know the names, the faces, the achievements, nothing, because it was literally riding a motorcycle was not even a blip on my radar. So it was really a whole new thing for me. It was simply because I saw one motorcycle, thought it was beautiful, went to Google it, I saw pictures of women riding it, and I was like, this is too beautiful to share, and I want one. And so it just started with me, what I saw, what I liked.
Okay.
And through that, I discovered that there is actually a world of motorcycling, which is not just about commuting from point A to point B, it's evolving. And I think in this period also, there's not just been a gradual growth, there's been just an explosion. Maybe social media is actually responsible also for that, for the amount of exposure, connecting people. So I think through that, I discovered that there are a lot more women who ride bikes, who have been doing it for a while, and are just, there's visibility. There are people who there are still so many who ride it, don't think it's a very big deal, are not on social media, but they're doing it.
Right.
So what was considered a niche before, either because of lack of exposure and numbers, large volumes, now has changed a lot. So I think that's a very good thing. We are no longer, even if we are still smaller in numbers, we're no longer a niche.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So do you see shops, especially the accessories and apparel shops, when you walk into buying any of those things, you see a lot of good things that you can put your hands on and say, oh, that's for me. Do you see that in the shops, or it's still male dominated?
That was a problem actually up until a few years ago, where so I don't have a problem with unisex gear, but the problem with unisex gear is that often because it's all protective and safety gear, it doesn't fit you the way it's supposed to.
Bluetooth disconnected.
Okay.
I just realized any calls will come on that.
Sorry.
So I think that, initially when we would go gear shopping, I'd get really frustrated because I would wear the small or the extra small in the men's section, and then it would stick out here, and then it would be loose here, it would not fit here. And yes, there is that slight bit of vanity. You want something to fit you nicely rather than you looking like a hot air balloon. Now, there was a phase in between where it was gear and it was all pink. And
the options were with
you can see
pink, purple maximum.
Yeah, maximum maybe a lilac, and you'll see it was a little more frustrating because you'll see like a rack of gear, all for men, then they'll say we have like 2 jackets, and it's not a choice. It's like we have something you want it, you take it. So that option was not there, and very recently many brands have started launching women's discipline gear, and it's a huge step. Boots and a lot of things were a huge challenge. Now we are spoiled for choice. So
that's good to know. That's good to know. A woman should always be spoiled for choice. That's a good thing, always, because that is how the economy keeps going. Alright. About Sharvari, I think you are also the founder member of a group called Biker Me.
Yes.
Very nice name.
Yes.
I mean, is it patented, copyrighted?
Yes.
I thought so. Alright. And how many members are there in that group?
We are about more than 2,000 members online.
Online?
Yes, so every city has their own chapter. They have the admin, they have a core group, and it's functioning. So we are, I think, more than 23 or 25. So between the 5 of us, the 5 founding members, we've divided different zones among all of us.
And what states are they spread into? Are there any specific states or all over across India?
Almost all. As far as Assam. But not ahead of Assam, unfortunately.
Oh, that's good to know. That's always good to know.
But yes, all the way to the Punjab, all the way Rajasthan to, of course, South is the most.
You know what? We did one session called Follow the Monsoon. You know? So maybe for the next monsoon, we can come to you and ask, where are your coordinators?
Sure.
Okay, so I will let all the women riders know how to follow the monsoon. Alright, thank you. And what I understand again from Wikipedia, so that you have been riding across Kashmir, Ladakh, Mount Abu, coastal Maharashtra route to Goa. Oh, I love Goa. Western coast, eastern coast, and many more. Right? So, which one has been the most beautiful destination?
As in one place.
Just one place.
I think I've been. There's this place called Santi Valley.
Santi Valley.
Yeah, it's on the way to Tawang.
Tawang.
Yes, Tawang in Arunachal.
See, all these sound like Greek to me. I'm sorry. Yes, please.
So on the way to Arunachal, in Arunachal Pradesh, there is a place called Tawang.
Okay.
It's one of the most treacherous places.
Okay.
So on the way, there is a place called Bomdila.
Okay.
So from Bomdila, if you take a right, 40 kilometers in, so Bomdila is the smallest town.
Okay. Okay.
From there, if you take 40 kilometers right, you go out of network completely. So forget internet. I talk about no network.
It's okay. I think we have been in those era where we didn't know what internet was.
So, Santi Valley has a village, you can say, has a population of maybe 50 to 100.
Okay.
And in the entire place, there's just one homestay, which has 3 rooms.
Get the address from her, please. Because there is only one room. So.
It's one of the most beautiful places. Because again, I think the lesser humans, the more untouched it is, the more beautiful.
More pristine it is. Absolutely. I think those of you who will be watching this later, keep a tab on that location. Okay, I think we should definitely plan for that.
A lot of us conscious travelers are doing now, we are not giving out names of the places anymore.
Oh.
Because what is happening is, like how we say there's a difference between tourists and travelers, right?
So that it starts becoming plastic bottles there.
Exactly. Yes.
We don't want to do that.
Exactly.
But see, one thing that I have seen is the biker community is very responsible. Okay.
Some of it, yes.
Okay, let's take that with a pinch of salt. Some of us are very responsible, but I would request all the bikers who are listening to this show to be more responsible. Because if at all we keep our India clean, we can attract more tourism. If at all we are able to get people to go to newer destinations, we'll be able to put our India into a better shape. Right? We can talk about how beautiful our country is. We don't want to show all the plastic bottles all over the places, right? So, we, as bikers, that's our first responsibility, keep the place clean. And I think most of us usually do that, as you said, mostly. I think we just have to see how do we make it 100%.
There's one more thing actually I want to add.
Yeah.
So even with Leh or Ladakh as a destination, it's only after the movie Three Idiots came out and
Yes.
Kareena Kapoor on that Vespa in Pangong happened, and then the tourism picked up like anything.
Correct.
But one of the more kind of things that you can observe over there is ever since from there, whenever you enter Leh, you will see huge heaps of garbage.
Oh boy.
Okay, with again plastic bottles, slaves, chips, all of that. Because there is no way for them to dispose it of. You have to realize that the entire population of Leh is about 2 lakh people, and what they kind of save up the resources in the entire year for the season, right? There are 2.5 plus tourists who come in and use up all of their resources.
Okay.
Right? And then we leave back our trash, and now they have to deal with it.
So, I think I have some idea. We'll talk offline of this one as to what can be done. Right. And one of the things that we know about Sharvari is that you are the first lady to own a Ducati Scrambler in India, 2015, right?
Yes.
Scrambler, yeah, that's a beautiful bike. And I think that's the most practical bike for India, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Especially with the way the traffic is, with the way the khaddas are in our roads, right? That's the best bike to have. That's the best bike to have. How do you like the bike?
I love it. I think when they announced it internationally that, when I got in touch with Ducati, they saying that, are you planning to bring this bike down? If you are, I want it. So, ever since they launched it, I knew, like, this is the bike that I want.
So, is that the reason why they invited you to the World Ducati Week in 2016?
Yes, maybe, probably, but also because they kind of took notice of the amount of, I used to keep posting, whenever I used to ride, I used to keep posting on social media, and I used to love my bike, so I used to click a lot of pictures and keep posting on Instagram. So my feed was full of.
So Priyanka, a question for you. What was the moment which made you fall in love with the motorbike?
So I was in Bangalore, and much like how her reaction to the Ducati was, I go back to the fact that motorcycles, okay, fine, big name. I think at the time I only knew Harley and Ducati as brands, and that I guess in Mumbai, because I'm originally from Mumbai, so we'd see these bikes in the bylanes of Bandra and South Bombay. It was not very usual to keep seeing fancy super bikes or premium motorcycles. And I was in Bangalore, I think it was in 2013 or 14, I can't quite remember. And we were walking past the first tram showroom, which was KP. And they had launched in Bangalore, and we were walking past the showroom, and I saw a black Bonneville. And it was like all chrome and black and really nice, pretty looking, gorgeous piece over there. I just stopped and I looked at it and I thought, just like I would walk outside a Lamborghini or some other showroom. So I just looked at it, thought it was very beautiful. Frankly, I'd never known about Triumph motorcycles or anything. Like I said, I was blank slate. So I went home, I googled it, and then I just feverishly googled it.
Wow.
And they had pictures of men and women riding the bike.
Yeah.
I just kind of got absorbed in the history of it and learned the price tag, realized it's completely out of my league, let alone buying a scooter. But for 2 years, I kind of harassed every Triumph employee in Bombay, Delhi and Kochi until I laid my hands on my first bike.
Wow, so your first one was Triumph?
Yeah, my first one was, and still is with me, is my T100, Bonneville T100.
Okay.
That was also a very spur of, all my bikes are spur of the moment purchases. So I went to see something else. I stopped by the showroom, which is right next to my office, and somebody just showed me this bike is lying here. The T100 was not my choice. It was too big for me, too tall for me, too chrome for me, too everything for me. Just not interested at all in the bike.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought, okay, it's pretty looking, whatever, let's go. And that night at 10:30, I called the GM.
Oh
I
my God.
harassed him and I said, "You block that bike. I'm coming tomorrow." And I put my down payment. I first ran to the RTO to get my learner's license. Then I ran back.
Oh my God. Look, this is called passion.
Then I gave him. I remember I put 50,000, and I was left with about 110 rupees. I remember that. And I also remember that, I mean, I realized later, of course, I didn't know at the time, but a lot of people it was a pre-owned motorcycle. The person who owned it before barely used it. It had just about 2,000 on the Holo. And he had traded it in for a Tiger. And there were a lot of other people at the showroom waiting for me to be a no-show.
Oh
To pick up a
my
bike.
God.
So when I pissed off a lot of people. And I looked so out of place, tired, so scrawny looking, sweating with that scraggly looking learner's license with a mere 50,000. Please block this.
Oh my goodness. But
So, yeah.
That's a very good memory that you'll cherish
Yes.
forever, right?
Yeah, and I tried. Because I didn't know how to ride I didn't know how to ride motorcycle. I bought it. So it also irritated me that the person who rode the bike home was him. And it pissed me off that it's my first motorcycle. Someone is riding it home. It was the monsoon season, so it's not wise to allow somebody who's never even ridden a scooter to ride a 900cc, 200 something kilo bike in monsoon in Mumbai. So I was really, really irritated, and I tried to sell the bike twice. And both times, I got a buyer within minutes of thinking that I'm going to sell it, and it bothered me a lot. And after that, I never ever. I still have people saying, "You ever think about selling? Let me know." I said, "No ways, the bike is not being like that."
Well, this is a very interesting story. Can we make a short film out of this? Noted. Yeah. We will talk about it later. Okay. Yeah. And this can motivate a lot of people. First time, right? Sally?
Yeah.
This is very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. But don't do what I did. Your choice of bike is still absolutely right. You should start from there.
Awesome. So, Sharvari, your take on the riding. So, you are usually, whatever I do for myself, to live to the fullest, travel to every place, and for the experience. That's how you have started. I mean, you have seen from the days when there were no bikers to how biking has changed for the women, right? So, what was your first bike?
My first bike was actually a Yamaha Gladiator, which was a 125cc.
Yeah.
So started from there. I think just started from there. Did a few. I think that's how all of us start.
Yeah.
We do like 100 kilometers, Sunday rides around.
Right.
Then you move on to doing weekend rides overnight, and then you eventually start long distance.
Right. I remember my first bike was Yamaha RX.
That's what.
Yeah. And I got scolded so much by my dad when I sold it because I had to go to Mumbai. My dad was, I could have ridden, why did you sell it? I never thought Dad would be riding an RX 100. I was like, Dad, you never told me that you want to ride a bike. Because he was happy riding a scooter. And when I sold it, he was like, you should have told me. I got scolded a lot. I still remember that. And I think that was the best bike that we had in the house.
Yeah, even for me, like I do not come from a family of anyone. Neither my father does not ride a motorcycle or a scooter. He doesn't know how to ride a scooter also. Like he's never been a two-wheeler person. I don't have anyone who's like cousins or anyone. In fact, even in my family, we are six cousins. Okay, I have 5 brothers. None of them ride a motorcycle.
Oh, wow.
So my grandmother used to be very proud. She's like, I have one granddaughter and she's the one who rides a motorcycle.
They asked you for your bike.
No, they don't. They're not interested.
So that's a good thing. So you get to ride all the bikes in the house.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, when you started riding, I mean, your first bike was a big bike, 900cc, right? Did you feel this is too big? I mean, you were trying to do a scooter, and suddenly from scooter directly to 900cc bike.
Yes.
How did you manage that? I mean, this would probably be very, very interesting for somebody like Sai.
So don't do that. Absolutely don't do that. I think that, I mean, today I can laugh, sit and think back and joke about it. But frankly speaking, it was like a bunch of nerves. I learned a big lesson about ownership and cost of ownership. I learned what it costs to break an indicator on your triangle versus breaking it on a pulsar or something. And I have to credit some key people for having my back. One of them is standing here, and that's him.
Thank you.
And many like him, my close friends, a few in the circle, and nobody discouraged me. They saw me being my absolute foolish, absolute scared, absolute I don't want to do this anymore nonsense. Simply because I picked such a big motorcycle, and I realized it was expensive, it was heavy. At the time, even I made a huge deal about being tiptoe on that bike.
Wow.
It looks short, but it's got like a broad touring seat and it's heavy. And I remember I went to an auto show in BKC in Bombay, and someone at the, I wish I knew his name, but somebody at the Harley Davidson stall or the stand taught me how to take a bike off the stand. The trick to doing it.
Okay.
So there have been a lot of people, however minute, for a few minutes or a few days or hours, who taught me small things and made life bearable at the start. And slowly I started to enjoy it. But yeah, at the very start, it was not wise, and I still don't recommend that approach to anybody.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Sharvari, a question for you. Since you have ridden all across India, Arunachal, Leh, Ladakh, and everything, any specific lessons for a solo rider, woman?
Any lessons other than tips?
Tips? No, I mean, you have learned some lessons, saying that, okay, यहाँ पे नहीं जाना चाहिए, or if at all you're going solo, these are the things that you should be cautious about, or you should be prepared to handle these things.
Actually, it would be the other way around. I don't know.
Okay.
There's nothing that people should not do. In fact, people should do solo travels because I think it teaches you the confidence to whatever situation you're in. You get that thing कि I will handle it. कुछ भी हो जाएगा, I will find a solution. And after that, you kind of for the rest of the life you will remember कि वो situation मैंने कर लिया था ना, तो ये क्या ये तो फिर भी नहीं, ये भी हो जाएगा.
So do you think that most of the people who buy 900cc bikes for the first time, they are already dating?
I think she would agree with me. Like you must have felt the same way.
Absolutely. And sometimes you don't have a choice. So you are like, there is no one. I have to unstuck myself out of this
You're the
situation.
only way out.
I got myself in it.
Yeah.
I need to get myself out.
Yeah.
So she's right.
But the conditions today have changed a lot because there's a lot of support. Also, you see people understanding the biking. There are services available, and at a click of a button, you can call for an emergency service. Those things are there,
When
right?
you're traveling in a place which RSA is not going to reach, if you don't have network, and if you even do lift or something, like please put my bike on a truck. If there's no truck which is going to come for like next 2 hours or 5 hours or so, what are you going to do? You have to figure it out yourself.
Of course.
Right? So
I think the human beings are very good in that. When you're pushed to the limit, you always find a solution. But if at all you're always handed down a solution, then somebody is taking care of it.
True. But this is also one thing. The thing is, generally, with people who are kind of exposed to, say, media, who follow the news, they generally have this perception that the world is a very bad place and you should not step out of your comfort zone. And it's only when you step out and you see how locals are or how people are really helpful, like you said, then you have faith on the road that हो जाएगा. Like people will help you. It's generally the world is a good place.
It is a good place. I think that is true. The world is a good place unless you have ticked off somebody. But otherwise, the world is a good place. Yes. Typically, in my opinion, all the bikes are good because there's a lot of engineering, there's a lot of research, there's a lot of development that has gone into making the bike and manufacturing it and bringing it to a showroom. Most of the people fall in love with a certain bike because of the way they have been brought up in life. They have got certain color liking, they have got certain shape liking, and those are the things which draw somebody to a bike usually. Okay, so what is your best bike? I mean, you don't have to say a brand. Is it, do you like a sports bike with full fairing and all that stuff, or is it more of a naked bike, or is it a off-road bike? What kind of?
Has to be adventure tourer.
Of course.
Has to be. So the irony is that when I first got into it, I thought that the classic bike is the way to go. Everything else is too loud, too aggressive. I did not think much about adventure motorcycles. I thought dirt bikes are whatever. And I really did not look. And I remember somebody telling me that your thinking, your riding, and your attitude is going to completely change in a few years. Mark my words. And today, I have just, the moment I see a dirt bike, a two-stroke motorcycle, I see a rally replica or something, my eyes light up.
Oh.
Absolutely. The things those machines can do is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the fun had is, I remember the days I used to take the Bonneville up all these trails, and all these guys are going with their GS and their Impulse and the Tigers and everything, just going, and I'm like huffing, puffing, 1 foot down, 2nd foot down, oh my hand should not scratch and all that crap. And I would at some point I would even say that forget it, the ground clearance, something will go wrong. Now that is no longer a worry. So she's absolutely right. There is an evolution in the way I think about myself.
Fantastic. How about you, Sharvari? What's your favorite bike? I know you ride a scrambler.
It is actually the Scrambler. It is. There's no doubt about it.
And there are a lot of people who are trying to get into biking today. The ladies especially. I keep telling my daughter also, she's 17. I keep telling her, why don't you try? But she's always like, I'm too short. I mean, she's unfortunately we are gifted with the genes which allow us only to grow to a certain height. After that, something happens, God knows. So, what is your advice? What is your recommendation for somebody who is wanting to get into biking?
I think height has nothing to do with the best of
I should have brought my
riders.
bike.
Whether it's Rossi or the MotoGP riders, they are all 5'1", 5'2". Yeah, the best of the riders in the world.
Wow.
So I don't think. Right. So I don't think, and as long as I think it's just getting the technique right. If you have your technique in place, it doesn't matter. Yeah. In fact, I've actually, I understand there's one thing which is height. I once met a world traveler who was paraplegic.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Did you also meet him, the guy on the Africa tour? So he did not have one leg completely. It was the artificial one. So all his the gear was on this side.
On that side. Okay.
Yeah. So everything
customized for him.
And of course even the petrol tank was about 80 liters. So he would just fill once because that's when he would get down.
Sure.
And then he would keep riding. So I think we're talking about height and tiptoeing on both legs. But if there are people who can do just with one leg.
That's an inspiration.
Yes.
That's an inspiration. Awesome. And any special gears that all these bikers must have, especially for the ladies. Men usually say, okay, jeans pehnega to bhi chalega. A lot of people do that. Okay. So, but for ladies, do you say, please, at least minimum, have this much when you ride?
I'd say not just for the women, but for everyone. But I think that with our road conditions, our traffic sense, some people, and I'm alarmed, but there are some people who still say that at 20 kilometers per hour, 30, kya hone wala hai? Or they assume everything is minor.
Yeah.
But I can talk from personal experience and from people close to me that at the slowest or the fastest speeds, any amount of damage can happen.
Yeah.
And at the least, of strap-fitted helmet is non-negotiable. That's it. I mean, you can scrape your hand, break your bones when you're commuting. Of course, the ideal is that we wear gear all the time, but it's not practical sometimes. Or even we don't wear gear all the time when we're commuting within the city. You can have serious accidents on a scooter versus a super bike.
Sure.
You know, because many times we just equate wearing the gear on our rides.
Right. Yeah.
But the helmet is a non-negotiable.
Helmet is a non-negotiable. I think everybody here wore the helmet.
Preferably a full face, but even if you just wear a half face, but strap the helmet.
Strap is the best.
Don't just put it on your head.
Yes. You have any tips on that? On the gears?
I think the same thing. Even if I'm commuting on the scooter, I mean nearby, like even 1 kilometer, you will see me in a full face.
I think I do agree that it's very important to wear the helmet, even if at all you're commuting for a very short distance. I recently, Umesh here, his son fell on a scooter. What happened? Ligament damage. So why? Because the scooter came on his feet. It's just the weight of the scooter, nothing else.
That's a good example, standing right there.
Yeah, I didn't want to take his name, but so you are right. These things do matter, and especially the weight of these bikes are. This is a big
and it's
concern.
also the visor, because there's a lot of wind, the small fiber or something goes into your eye and you close. That microsecond of you closing the eye is enough.
That's right. Very true. And especially when you're riding at that
Possibly
speed.
more than the helmet. I'm happy with having the visor.
Visor in front of you.
And it's also the dark visor. So what happens is when it's very bright, it kind of protects you from the sun. So that's what I like, and people don't even notice you as well. And that's kind of my own
Additional protection layer.
Yes, it's actually that protection from people.
On a lighter note, most of the ladies, right, they are worried about their makeup, their hair and all. No.
I think right now most of us don't have any makeup.
Usually, I'm saying usually, right? How do you manage when you go for a long ride? Your hair, is there any special tips? Anything that you do? Oh, good question. So there is not bikers there.
First of all, when we are riding, realistically, you can't put anything on your because when you take the helmet off, at least I look like a train wreck.
See, my view. What we have seen in the movies is the lady takes off the helmet.
No,
that's what we have seen.
I tried.
Right? That is the view we have. So how do you feel agree to that, right? So that's the view we have. So that's why I'm asking this question. So.
Honest answer, nothing.
You don't have to take any special care for that matter.
No. At most, maybe I'll wear sunblock. I won't lie about that.
Sure.
But no, none of the other stuff. Even teachers.
But actually, I am against makeup, especially while riding.
No, you don't have to ride with a makeup on, but what I'm saying is...
Particularly, of course, foundation, all of that will come off anyway. Lipstick is going to come off. You're going to sweat for 5 minutes and it's going to be off. So, but particularly things like what they wear on the eyes, okay? Again, once you start sweating, it goes into your eyes, and then after some time, your eyes become smudgy. It's actually not safe to wear.
I didn't even think of that.
Now you got to hear something.
I think that's a factor.
Yeah. So I mean, like if I am locally also, like I said, even on the scooter, if I'm going from here, going to meet my friends, I'm decked up for evening out or something. Inside my full face, I will wear my mascara or whatever. But what happens is, even in 10 kilometers or 8 kilometers, I know how it is going to be.
Right.
So I cannot imagine what it's going to be when we are actually going outside.
Wow.
Right.
Great. I think we'll see if at all there are any questions from the audience. I think Saivi here is for the first time. Do you have any questions for our speakers? Anything you want to specifically
Save
learn?
money on makeup.
No, she was very curious to come and she wanted to learn about how do I ride. I think she had some questions. So, of course, everybody is free to ask questions. So, any questions you have for the speakers?
Right. And you have to make peace with not having decent hair.
I've already made peace with that.
Sure.
Yeah, but okay, I wanted to ask, like, this is a very specific question, but what would you suggest would be my next bike? Because my dad has a really big bike which I have ridden, but it's a 650, Ninja 650, so that's really big for me. It's not too heavy, but it's really hard to control. So what would you suggest to be the next step after this one?
Do you want to go ahead? Okay. So, I think firstly you find your comfort. Either you can have a naked bike which you're comfortable with. I think the 150 is like a super sport position, right?
Yeah.
So if first you find your comfort, whether you like a naked bike, whether you like a super sport, whether you like whichever, right? Or whether you like cruiser style. If you know for a fact out of the three that you like this super sport position, then you'll definitely kind of in the next few years you will want to feel like moving on to the 650 because that will be your natural calling. So you just choose what is comfortable with you and then take that track and go ahead.
I'll add to that and say that when you ride, you also realize what kind of riding you enjoy. So, city riding, you suddenly take to highway ride because you have somebody in your family, your father who rides a motorcycle. You're lucky, you'll be exposed to that. So you'll figure out what you really enjoy. And you don't have to jump from a 150 straight to a 650. In fact, the blessing is that now the mid segment is going to grow far more. There are so many options. And for Indian roads, for Indian conditions and Indian speeds, frankly, even a 600 is too much. Anything below that does a fantastic job. It's no wonder that people have big bikes and then they have gone and bought an X-Pulse or an Impulse and they've gone buying smaller bikes because they want to have fun with it. So that's a testament to it. And you will see bikes, you will ride them. I hope that you have a lot of opportunity and you will also realize which one is your calling, which one calls out to you. There are a lot of opinions, but at the end of the day, you buy what makes you happy.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions from the audience?
I have a question for Prianca specifically.
Yes.
So you said basically your first bike was the normal street bike. How exactly did you get into the adventure segment and how would you suggest if, for example, I'm curious about it? But again, we are like short riders, like average height. How would you suggest somebody to get started with it? What to do first? You can't just take a bike and just go into a jungle, right?
So, frankly, I was very content with touring, sticking to tarmac, being very happy when there's a road. Even sometimes a speed breaker would really break my spirit. I just didn't like any interruption when I'm riding. So a small gravel patch would get my nerves, to be very honest. And I had the T100, but then we also picked up a Bonneville A3, which is basically the same bike, same engine, same heart, everything, except that the size is slightly smaller. So we tried to lighten that bike as much as possible, and that actually became my practice motorcycle. And I sound very vain when I say this, but then it is a fact. So when these guys would ride, they would always opt for the off-beaten road. I didn't have a choice really. I did most of my earlier off-road out of frustration and out of being left behind and having no choice but to do it. So it picked up, and then I realized, okay, we are going to keep doing this. We're going to get into worse and worse trails.
Better learn the right way.
Better learn the right way, better get a lighter bike, which is cheap to break, cheap to fix. That's how I got my other bike. But I started to enjoy it a lot. I also would credit people around me who taught me, but they didn't mollycoddle me. So they were quite, like, okay, we've helped you enough, now you're on your own. Enough is enough. Especially when it came to the height. I really was a pain in the, where, when it came to the height. If my feet both did not even tiptoe down, it was scary. So when the 390 Adventure launched, I was like, okay, I'm going to go and get it. I went to IBW, they launched the bike, I sit on it, and neither feet reached up.
It was like this.
So I was like, I'm out of my depth. Like, is this even wise? Should I even bother buying this? But then that day I decided that I kept reminding myself, I was like, I bought a Bonneville, I bought this thing, I put my money, I went broke, I did all the stupid things. I might as well do one more stupid thing. So I picked that bike up and I said, I'll learn. Even if I drop it, I'll learn. I have to. All the bikes are getting taller. You want more ground clearance, you want to go off-road, you'll have to get a taller bike. So I just decided I'm going to throw myself in an uncomfortable position or situation to do that. And now, like, I'm also riding, or rather I'm practicing on the X-Pulse with the rally kit, which is even taller than the 390. So the 390 was like, what the hell is this? So, but it takes a lot of practice and getting used to. Very honest, you don't get it overnight. It's a bundle of nerves sometimes for me on the trail. When you're on a flat surface, it's easy. When you get on a trail and there's nothing on the side, it's a whole different world. But I do it because I enjoy it. If I continue to feel just nervous, unhappy, irritated, I wouldn't bother. Okay.
I think we have in the audience one of your group member also.
Yes.
Dhanashree. How has been your riding experience? With the group, without the group?
So I want to say one thing about Dhanashree.
Sure.
No matter in our group, if we try to plan a Sunday ride, but if people come or not come, she will not wait for others, she will go and ride on her own. And that's the spirit I love about her.
You have to make up your mind to ride, that's it.
Yes, that's it.
Awesome.
Then I can borrow the mic from here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
मेरे माइक वगैरह नहीं चाहिए. My name is Sharvari, D for dashing. Sadhu है ना?
Yes.
Just keep it here.
राइडिंग एक्सपीरियंस मीन्स ऐसे राइडिंग चलाते चलाते वैसे राइडिंग एक्सपीरियंस आ गए हैं बहुत सारे. एक टाइम पे मुंबई टू नासिक ऑन द वे थी मैं. रात में 8 बज गए थे तो सिग्नल पे रुका था बाइक. मीन्स सिग्नल पे रुके थे हम सब. एकदम से सिग्नल लग गया था तो किसी को मालूम नहीं था. मैं हेलमेट पहना था तो सामने से एक बाइकर आया था. नहीं ऐसे नॉर्मल पीपल था. उनका ट्रक ऐसे क्रॉस कर रहा था तो इधर से मैं साइड से जा रही थी. उन्होंने रुका के चाबी निकाल लिया था मेरा बाइक का. जल्दी से मैंने हेलमेट निकाल दिया. फिर उनको पता चला रही तो गलत है बोल के जल्दी से हेलमेट निकाल. फिर तभी वो सॉरी बोल रहा था. लेकिन हेलमेट निकाल के मैंने जाके उसको एक झापड़ लगाया खींच दिया. चाबी भी निकाला. सिग्नल तो लगा नहीं था. मीन्स ग्रीन नहीं हुआ था. फिर भी वो ऐसे टॉर्चर करके रुका रहे थे. नहीं आप आगे नहीं जा सकते. तो मैंने बोला नहीं मैं साइबर क्राइम में हूँ. मेरा आईडी दिखाया तभी उसने चाबी दे दिया था मुझे. अच्छा. तभी वो सॉरी बोल रहा था. फिर कुछ नहीं. फिर बाइक लेके फिर मैं आगे से चले गई. फर्स्ट मुझे जाने दिया. फिर सिग्नल लगने के पहले फर्स्ट मैं आगे चले गई. फिर बाद में से ग्रीन सिग्नल हो गया था. ऐसे राइडिंग एक्सपीरियंस कभी आते हैं. कभी मारना भी पड़ता है.
India presents very unique experiences. Very interesting. So, but you ride every Sunday? Almost. Okay. Awesome. Great. Any other questions from the audience?
I'd like to ask a question. I don't need a mic.
Please.
So, no thanks, Sharvari. So this is basically a question to all three of you. Some of us started riding a long time ago. We met 10 years ago in Ladakh?
In Ladakh, yeah.
Like we've been riding since the time there was no social media, and what's happening right now is everybody has a lot of peer pressure, has a lot of there's a lot of pressure for you to document everything so that once you do something you get it validated from the people you know.
Mm-hmm.
For you who's been very active socially, and for you who's who I know balance is really hard between socializing and trying not to slap people. How do you ensure that your privacy, your riding experience is pure and not burdened by the expectations and validations from people?
Very good.
Huge question.
Very good question. Very good question.
Okay.
Who goes first?
Okay,
Let's flip the coin.
Okay, so I think Savi's seen my growth, like as he said, 10 years, right? So from the time I've started my Instagram account to reaching where I think I was at my peak, maybe in again 2015 and 16.
Okay.
And after that, I think we've seen a lot of influencers and a lot of people I think, when you put out one post and the amount of validation, the more likes you get, the more validation you get, you feel amazing about it. And then what has happened is what we call content has gone to such a level that now it is no more about sharing experiences or being genuine. Now a lot of kind of made up things and now it is more about getting those likes. It is no more about experiences, right? And while chasing this exact validation, we are losing the point, I think. So eventually at some point, even I realized, I'll be very honest, I was at a point where things were kind of falling apart, actually not falling together, falling apart for me. And then I kind of chose my mental peace. That is the most, so even when you're shooting something, right, you can either watch the sunset and soak it all in for yourself,
yes,
or be lost in half an hour कि नहीं मेरे को ये angle करके ये adjustment exposure करके ये मेरे को perfect picture आ गया, and when I posted it, people are liking it. But did you enjoy? Did you live in the moment? You didn't, right? And sometimes, so I think I'm also right now trying to balance that. Sometimes I'm like, okay, fine, this I can click pictures and share it with people, but then my top priority is myself. Like if I'm enjoying and it's not harassing me, and because the thing is, I've also been a bit of a photographer and videographer for some time, so that the tendency to pick up your phone camera and kind of shoot is obviously going to come. And I've also been a writer, so I enjoy documenting my life. So there is again, either you can, what you do on social media can be writing to appease people, and there can be one part where you're documenting it for yourself, because 5 years later when you scroll down and you say, oh yeah, this is what I had done, and you feel happy about it. It's just about, it's what you do for yourself. Correct. Like I said, even in my book, I do it because I enjoy it and I want to live my life and the way it is. So that's what it is.
Very well said, very well said.
I don't have so much experience on the or exposure, I would say, from the social media point of view. However, that is growing now because, again, the community pretty much knows everybody, even if we are not kind of met face to face or something like that. But there are places we go and then somebody say, they'll call you by your Instagram name, but not your real name. It's literally become like a passport.
Wow.
I don't try to say but I think that I lack the I would say the dedication and the patience to mount my camera and mount things.
Okay.
I bought a GoPro like 2 years ago, and I don't even know how many times I've actually used it, how many times it has actually I've actually shot things, I've stored it. Someday I will edit it. Sometimes I'm looking through storage and I find, oh, I was supposed to edit this video. Nothing, I have not done it. And
do you need help with that? No, we can definitely help you with that.
I enjoy it.
She does a lot of photos.
Yeah, and actually a lot of people have said that send me your footage, I'll do this, I'll make a reel for you, I'll do this and all that. And it's interesting, it's very engaging. But it's a rabbit hole that you can fall deep down fast, really, really quickly. Also, I realized that you can, many times like some brands approach or something like that, and I just upfront tell them that I don't have the audience or the numbers you're looking for. I'm being very upfront with you. And quite often they bow out because I don't have the standard numbers that you're looking for. Also, what happens is that, as she rightly said, it's just about the hits, the engagement, you know.
Yeah.
So I often, in fact, most of our rides are without camera, without this. We do take 1 or 2 odd pictures from our phone, but we don't document. And then it's that what's that phrase? If it's not it never happened or something. There is this phrase: if you didn't put it up or it never happened or something. I forgot the phrase. But I'm okay with that. I'm very lazy. I'm useless in that department. And I know that today what started out as just something fun to enjoy on social media and connect is now a business. It's a huge monetary and digital platform which has profits and budgets and whatnot assigned to it.
Everything has become very commercial.
Yeah, and there's also one more part where now in the last 3-4 years buying likes and buying followers has become as easy as 1,000 rupees. Yeah, that's cheap. So now the thing is today anybody can start an account and have 25, 50, 100,000 followers and barely less than 2,000-3,000 rupees. You can be a 100,000 follower account. So really who cares, right? So as long as you're doing it for yourself, I don't think you need to do it because you want to get the validation point, right?
Yes,
because you want to tell people ki are mere 8,000. I don't think it matters anymore.
That's true. Well, just to answer your question based on what they said. Typically what happens is, I remember growing up, we used to have photo albums at home. Okay? And that used to be, whenever anybody visited home from outside, we would put all our photo albums in front of them. Because that used to be, look, this is how our life has been. Okay? That used to be the way we used to engage the visitors coming into home. In my opinion, what has happened with me is, I still think that I don't have time to go to a photo express or any of those shops, give them a USB and say, please print this. So what I know what all the family members are on social media. I just post it on social media for them to view. So I use it more as a photo album for my friends and family to use. I really don't think that I'm using it as saying I want to promote something, or if somebody says, hey, kaisa photo hai, kiska hai, I really don't care. It's more about my satisfaction. That's how I look at it. But you are right, there's a lot of social pressure today. A lot of social pressure about तुम्हारा कैमरा इस एंगल से नहीं आया, अरे तुम कहाँ गए थे, तुम किसके साथ गए थे, उधर क्या था, क्या खाया तुमने. There are a lot of those things that happen today. So we all need to understand that what is it that we want to post. We will elicit a lot of comments from the friends and family, or we just want to share something that people can look at it as more as a photo album. So that is something that every one of us probably have to look at it. Again, if you only want to do it more as, okay, I want it to be a business, I want it to be more commercial. Obviously then all other things about who will say, you need to come out of the social pressure because you have to get into commercial. More likes, more branding. Right?
But I add one more thing, and that is, and I guess this is from my own learning, is that there's so much exposure that there is, like you said, sometimes we make up things. There's a dangerous false narrative also. I mean, now people are saying that, oh, what you see on Instagram is not true and all, but there are so many impressionable people out there who think that, or who may not know the reality of it, and will actually believe that this is how it is, this is how it works, this is, but it's possible this quickly, or it's that easy. And that's a very dangerous precedent for them. Those who know will find they like it and all, but then there is a large impressionable audience who are fed false narratives, and that's one of the pitfalls of constantly doing what you're doing but not presenting the accuracy or the facts.
And I think this is exactly what she said. It's a rabbit hole. Because what happens is, there are people who, of course, it's lies, right? The first lie you say, and then now you have to cover it up, you have to say the second lie, and the third lie, and then your entire field is a lie. So it begins with someone saying that, oh, my friend has this bike, or I bought this bike, and now you're under the pressure to live up to that lifestyle.
Correct.
What people are selling on Instagram or Facebook is an aspirational value. They want people to look up to you to that. And now, after you've said that this is my lifestyle, and then you can't really, everyone has ups and downs, let's be very honest. But now you are under the pressure that now it's a up, and when it's a down, you can't really be true to yourself. And if you can't be honest to your own followers, you're under the pressure to kind of live up to their expectations, and then people are borrowing bikes, people are borrowing gear just to show that it's going okay. But if it's not, let's be honest, and let's kind of reach, like I said, we can help each other out if required. But we are not just being honest and truthful to it. So
Did
I
that
think a lot of people have awards also.
So did that answer your question?
It is in many ways.
Okay.
Well, there was a majority. You're saying there's a majority of people.
Yes, please.
Both the ladies.
Yes, please.
What difference has your bike riding and made to your, the work life or family life? And what kind of message would you give to the new aspiring bikers? Those who are looking like you have become heroes for them, wow! No, they look at you and they might have this. What would your message be for those women riders? Because there is definitely a different view that the lady riders are looked upon in our Indian society. So what would your message be that what does it add to your handling situations? What are the positive things that you would pass on?
So I'll start by saying that, as you rightly said, it's still a big challenge for women to make the choice just to ride a motorcycle like a little buy anyone. I unfortunately cannot relate because I've been lucky. But I acknowledge that there are women out there who are challenged by freedom or maybe the choice to buy a bike or even just to get on a motorcycle and ride. And that comes with because everyone assumes motorcycle dangerous, death, gruesome accidents and whatnot.
For men.
And we can't let that happen to the women as well. I think that the dangers are similar, but then yes, maybe the risks kind of are heightened when they think about the women folk of the family, the daughters, the mothers and whatnot. So don't lose hope, first of all. Start small, start slow, and very importantly, as I had said that when you ride or when you go someplace, you choose your type of riding, you choose your bike. There'll be a lot of advice pouring in from everywhere. Do this, do that, buy that, wear this. You stand, you sit, and everything and all. We have enough of orders coming from everywhere. The motorcycle is something you're going to look at. You're going to put your money, you're going to sit on it every day, you have to watch it, maintain it, whatnot. So make your choice what makes you happy at home. And it can be a scooter or a 150cc or a 1000cc bike, it doesn't matter. At the end, it's going to make you happy. So you can create whatever you want, possibilities on it, but it has to be something you do.
What has it added to your life?
For me, I think that a lot of places that I might travel someday, I have made realize much sooner because you have the freedom of two wheels. I've met a lot more people. I've become a lot more social.
I was very antisocial people on motorcycles.
Yeah, I'd be very quiet first. I also had the habit of always standing in the background and it's not my place to talk or say anything about the bike yet. The men folk talk, But I also see that the attitude is changing, so the conversations and the plans and whatnot is more inclusive. Where you want to go, what's more comfortable, what's safer, what can we do together versus we make the decision, we just tag along. So I've had a bit of that experience as well. But you learn over time to, own your own agency, to have your own right also, do what makes you happy. There are places you're not going to, and don't think I'll come back another time and do it again. No, you're there right now, do it right that moment. You want to learn, you want to fall, find somebody, learn, find the right people around you who are going to encourage you.
So more confidence.
Yeah, for me, I was very, very lucky.
Not afraid of anything anymore.
No, I am still afraid. Huh? I'm not joking.
Well, you went with 50,000
There are testament to that. No, but that's good fear because after school, your playground, your college, your work, and everything. When is the last time you put yourself, in the dirt and you fell and you made a mess of yourself and you got scared, then you got excited and then you had a bit of scrape and everything. And I'm talking as an adult, that's what motorcycles offer. So that's what it's done for me.
I think after this I cannot like this was like legendary. I don't think I think for me it's actually pretty much contrast because I do not look at I actually I feel whether it's a woman or whether it's a man on a motorcycle, it's genderless. You know, it doesn't matter. So I mean, I don't. When I get on my motorcycle, I don't think I'm a woman or a lady who's on a motorcycle. I am just me. Like that's all there is. And I think there's also one more aspect. A lot of probably background kind of makes a difference as to what all you are exposed to in life. And the thing is, in my case, like my grandmother also used to drive. So in the family, me getting on, I mean everyone driving or getting onto a motorcycle was not such a big deal. You don't want to ride a scooter, you want to ride a motorcycle? Okay, fine, done. It wasn't, I mean that was, so I have a very supportive background. So with that I kind of so that's why my approach to life is also very, I mean I will not stop anywhere at all for anything.
Exactly, I wanted to know.
Yeah.
That how has it helped you to look at your life, your challenges? What kind of different kind of confidence has it added to your personality?
Yeah.
So to tackle different things other than biking.
Yeah.
The experience of biking on your own as a woman, as a lady in a group of say 25 boys. When you are there, then you get a different kind of respect the men give you.
Absolutely. In fact,
so how has it added to your personality?
Okay, so you must be knowing this. I think last Friday we had our Gata owners club. We did our overnight ride, and we were about 22 men. And I think it was just Saima and me who was 2 women among there. And I think at no point we felt out of place. You know, all of them included us so well. And that's what it is. I don't think it's just that both of us were in a separate group, and the rest of the men had their own thing. But at any point, we both, jumped into the swimming pool in our costumes, and it was comfortable. I don't think at any point, because we are women, they did not, not play with we played water polo and all in the pool and things like that. But at any point, we were not excluded. We were as much as part of any conversation, whether it was political conversations, whether it was finance, whether it was motorcycles, whether it was MotoGP. We were equal. So that's why I don't see myself as a because I'm a woman I'm any different.
That has given an added confidence level even for other than the biking life.
Yes, but probably if motorcycle did not happen to me, I would have probably not been who I am today. I would have probably been one of the regular people maybe. I mean, I think motorcycling has added a lot of confidence, and you look at yourself as an equal with a man. You do not think you are any lesser. I think it has added confidence. Yes.
Lot of positivity.
I mean, I think tomorrow, if anyone tries to kind of haggle or try to tease or whatever, I'm like, bhai, you know what I ride. Like, you show me if you can ride a motorcycle the way I ride. That's it, only one. So I think
a lot of confidence.
I have this thinking no one can mess with me, like that kind of thing.
That's the kind of confidence.
But another thing is that the visibility of women on motorcycles has prompted a generation of parents now to think that okay, it's safe. They are doing it. They are riding these bikes. They are going out. There's gear. There's helmet. There's whatnot. So they are actually even pushing their daughters, sisters, wives, whatever. Get on the bike. Do it. And maybe that was not there before, so there was no example. Now you're seeing women. I saw someone, she probably saw someone seeing her, and that's how it moves forward. So directly or indirectly, it's the numbers are increasing also because of that.
I would like to just mention one point here that it's not just the exclusivity of the branded or the super bikes or owners or these kind of bikings. If you see school dropping, many mothers are dropping their children on motorcycles.
Bags, everything, and
everything.
Yes.
Superwoman.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Yes.
They don't
It
really,
is.
we do see that.
Yeah,
There is a lot of
Yeah.
change.
Pune is one of the cities with the largest number of commuters and women motorcyclists.
It is.
Also because we used to be the largest number of cyclists at one point, and it's the same people who now kind of upgraded to motorcycles. So now we are the largest city
Right.
with motorcycles, with two-wheelers. So we have to have so many women around here.
Absolutely. We'll do a quick time check. Okay. All right.
Not too much, no?
Wasn't expected.
Okay. I think before we wrap up, if there are any questions, last one. Anybody has any other questions?
I had a question for Priyanka. I just saw a picture of you on the track. So I want to know how is it like? How is your experience on track? How is it different to street riding or adventure riding?
I honestly went on track because I wanted to go on track and know what it feels like to ride in one direction in a controlled environment with no cows, people, anything hitting me. Honest, this is my honest answer. I went, so I did a couple of track schools, 1 day weekend, 2 day weekend, whatnot. The dedication to get in a leather suit and get on a bike and then spend the whole weekend did not appeal to me. Okay, I did try, I did the TVS 1 week championship, I even got through the first round, qualified, went to Chennai, I dragged him with me, he didn't think it was funny. But track was, to me, was an expensive affair and not something, I mean, like I said, try everything, so I did that. I realized it's fun, it's great, but not something I wanted. But I have to say this, I was convinced to do CSS, California Superbike School, and they had couple of, in 2018 or 19, I can't remember, they had a special package for women because CS is quite expensive, and there was it was like a once, you can't miss it. So they had a special this thing only for the women, and I knew a couple of girls, I knew a lot of friends who told me that we're not hearing anything, pack your bags now, you must go. And I was just done with track, I didn't want to go at all. I have to say this, 3 days at CSS is a testament to how my confidence just shot up when I started riding on the road. Really, they just fine-tuned the basics. My confidence went up the way they taught, and they focused on a couple of things. I actually enjoyed track riding at CSS more than I did at any other, So it really did help me. I took a lot of lessons from there on the road. That I will definitely say was fun.
Awesome. I think we're already up the time. So thank you again, Priyanka and Sharvari. Thank you for joining this session and sharing your experiences. I'm sure all the audiences probably have enjoyed the session. We'll also find out how it is faring on the social media. Likes. So again, thank you so much. Thank you, Legacy Motors, Legacy Ducati.
Yeah, happy to have all of you here.
Neil, Saiba, thank you so much for all the support provided. Really appreciate it. And all the people who came to join the session in person. So thank you so much. Sakshi, Umesh, who has been doing this behind the scene. They are coordinating everything. And this is our first physical session, so we hope to do more and spread the word. Let people know that we are trying to bring community together and have people talk rather than be on the social media. That will definitely help. And if you get a chance, we have an app called Pit 500, which we are trying to promote. We are trying to build that out. It's in the very nascent stage. Try it out, give your feedback. I mean, that is how we can make it a little better app too. We usually have rides on that app too, so you can join in, and we appreciate all the support. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a lot of sandwiches and tea there. I'll have to take it home. So please help yourself with guys. Don't
Yes.